trust yourself, and somewhere deep inside, you know it. You feel it every time you second-guess a decision, every time you apologize for having a boundary, every time you talk yourself out of something your soul was screaming yes to. Every time you tell someone, "I don't know," when the truth is, you do know. You've always known, because here's the secret no one ever told you. Self-trust isn't a personality trait. It's a muscle, and you've spent your whole life being trained to weaken it. You were taught to trust teachers instead of instincts, parents instead of intuition, experts instead of experience, society instead of your soul. You were told to doubt yourself long before you ever had a chance to believe in yourself. And you wonder why you feel lost sometimes? It's not because you don't know who you are. It's because the world convinced you not to listen. But today, right now, in this moment, I want to show you something. There is a version of you that does trust yourself. A version who doesn't flinch, doesn't shrink, doesn't abandon herself. A version who doesn't twist into shapes to keep the peace, who doesn't apologize for her knowing, who doesn't outsource her wisdom to anybody else. She's not far away. She's not a better you. She's the real you, the one buried under years of noise, pressure, and fear. And in the next few minutes, we're going to bring her back. Stay with me, because once you understand self-trust, your entire life begins to change. You weren't born doubting yourself. No child enters the world questioning their own voice. Babies don't hesitate before reaching, crying, laughing, exploring. Toddlers don't second-guess their impulses. They trust their instincts completely. So what happened? How did you go from a soul that trusted its own knowing to someone who questions everything, especially yourself? Let me tell you the truth, gently. You didn't lose self-trust. It was taken from you. Not always deliberately, not always maliciously, but slowly, quietly, repeatedly, until one day you mistook self-doubt for your personality. It begins young. You're told, "No, that's not how you feel. You're too sensitive. That didn't happen like that. You're overreacting. Stop being dramatic. Don't be silly. Why would you think that?" Each sentence is small on its own, but together, they teach you one damaging lesson. My inner voice must be wrong. And every time you believe that sentence, a little part of your self-trust dissolves. Then school reinforces it. You're rewarded for memorizing, not thinking. For obeying, not questioning. You're taught to raise your hand to ask permission to speak your own truth. You learn the lie that the correct answer is always outside of you and never inside of you. Then adolescence arrives and you're told, fit in. Blend in. Don't stand out. Don't be too much. Don't be too opinionated. Don't be too loud. Don't be too quiet. You learn to mistrust your natural expression because it doesn't fit the mold. And then adulthood? That's when the world really starts shaping you. You experience heartbreak, betrayal, loss, disappointment. People promise things and take them back. People say one thing and do another. People lie, manipulate, disappear, change roles in your life without warning. And in the chaos of all that, you start blaming yourself. Maybe I shouldn't have trusted my intuition. Maybe I should have seen it coming. Maybe my judgment is bad. Maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe I am the problem. But listen to me carefully. You didn't stop trusting yourself because you failed. You stopped trusting yourself because life taught you to expect the worst. Your nervous system learned survival, not intuition. Your inner child learned caution, not confidence. Your adult self learned doubt, not self-belief. You didn't lose self-trust because you were weak. You lost it because you were adaptive. Because you did what you needed to do to survive. Because your younger self had no other tools. And here is the most important truth of all. Self-doubt was never your natural state. It was your protection, a shield, a survival strategy, a way to avoid pain, rejection, humiliation, failure. It kept you safe, but it also kept you small. And now, as an adult looking back, you might feel angry at yourself for shrinking, but you shouldn't. Because the fact that you're here watching this video, listening to these words, feeling something stir in your chest, means the real you, the you who trusts herself, is still alive. She didn't vanish, she didn't die, she didn't disappear. She's just been waiting for you, quietly, patiently, like a whisper under all the noise. And today, you're ready to hear her again. There is a price you pay every time you doubt yourself. You don't always notice it in the moment. It's subtle, quiet, invisible, but it shapes your entire life. Let's talk about the cost of not trusting yourself, because until you see it clearly, you won't realize how much of your power you've given away. 1. You overthink everything. When you don't trust yourself, every decision feels like a trap. You loop, you second guess. You seek 5 signs, 10 opinions, 20 confirmations. Your mind turns into a committee meeting where everyone has a voice except you. Instead of living, you're analyzing your life like a puzzle where one wrong move will break everything. Not because you're indecisive, but because somewhere inside, you don't believe your intuition is valid. 2. You stay too long in places your soul has already left: relationships, jobs, friendships, homes, situations. People who don't trust themselves often stay months, years, even decades past the point where something has died. Not because they don't feel the truth, but because they don't trust themselves to act on it. So they wait, and wait, and wait, hoping clarity will come externally, hoping someone else will change, hoping something will prove what they already knew inside. And that waiting costs you time you will never get back. 3. You apologize for things that aren't wrong. You say sorry for having needs, having boundaries, saying no, changing your mind, being tired, being hurt, being yourself. When you don't trust yourself, you think your emotions need permission. So you shrink, you soften your truth. You walk on eggshells in places where you should walk freely. This breaks your spirit slowly. 4. You look to others for answers that only you can give. Tell me if this feels familiar. You ask friends, what do you think I should do? You ask family, does this feel right? You ask strangers online, would you choose A or B? You outsource your decisions because you don't trust your own inner compass. But here's the secret. When you rely on everyone else's voice, your own voice becomes harder and harder to hear. 5. You disconnect from your intuition. Intuition doesn't scream, it whispers. And when you don't trust yourself, those whispers get drowned out by anxiety, fear, and self-doubt. You start believing you don't have intuition when the truth is, you do. You always did. It's just buried under noise. The cost of ignoring it? Missed opportunities, wrong turns, relationships that drain you, paths that were never meant for you. Your intuition lights the path. Self-doubt turns the lights off. You lose the relationship with yourself. This is the deepest cost of all. When you don't trust yourself, you stop checking in, you stop listening, you stop honoring your needs, you stop defending your boundaries, you stop believing your own feelings. You abandon yourself in all the ways others once abandoned you. And that leaves you feeling empty, unseen, unheard, even when you're surrounded by people. Because self-trust isn't about making the right choices. It's about having a relationship with yourself that is honest, loving, and loyal. Without self-trust, you become a stranger to your own soul. But here's the hope. If losing self-trust has cost you years of your life, rebuilding it will give you your life back. Piece by piece, moment by moment, choice by choice. You rebuild self-trust the same way you rebuild strength after an injury, gently, consistently, and with patience. And the moment you start, your entire world begins to shift. Let's take a breath together, because this is where everything starts to make sense. You've spent so long doubting yourself that you might not even remember what self-trust feels like anymore. So let me show you. Let me put it back into your body, into your breath, into your field. Because when you experience the sensation of self-trust, your entire nervous system recognizes it instantly. Self-trust feels like a quiet chest, not tight, not braced, not buzzing, not collapsing, just quiet. A soft warmth, a gentle openness. A sensation like, I'm okay, I'm grounded, I'm here. When you trust yourself, your chest doesn't collapse inward or rise in anxiety. It finds center. Light, open, thin air clarity. That is exactly what self-trust feels like. It feels like breath that doesn't need permission. You know that breath you take after crying for too long? The one that feels like it finally reaches the bottom of your lungs? That's self-trust. It's a deep, natural breath that isn't restricted or shallow. It's your body telling you you're safe to be yourself. It feels like inner knowing without noise, not a loud voice, not a dramatic sign from the universe, not a lightning bolt of clarity, just a soft, steady sense of, this is right. No explanation needed, no justification, no chasing confirmation. Just a quiet truth that sits in your chest and doesn't move. This is intuition in its purest form. It feels like not rushing self-doubt is frantic. Self-trust is slow. When you trust yourself, your energy stops sprinting ahead, trying to catch all the possible outcomes. You settle into the pace of, I will know when I know. And there's no fear in that. It feels like choosing yourself without guilt. Self-trust removes the voice that says, you're being selfish. You're being dramatic. You're making a mistake. Instead, you feel something you haven't felt in years. Permission. To rest, to walk away, to speak up, to change your mind, to protect your peace, to honor your needs, to follow your truth. Self-trust gives you back your sovereignty. It feels like coming home. This is the easiest way to describe it. When you trust yourself, you stop living life like a guest waiting for approval. You return to yourself, your instincts, your values, your heart, your voice, your center. You feel rooted, settled, aligned. There is a steadiness inside you that no one else can shake. And the world becomes quieter because your inner world becomes louder. And here's the powerful part. Self-trust doesn't feel like confidence. Confidence is loud. Self-trust is soft. Confidence says, I can do this. Self-trust says, even if I can't, I'll figure it out. Confidence is about abilities. Self-trust is about identity. Confidence can be shaken. Self-trust cannot. Self-trust is a relationship with yourself that feels calm, steady, gentle, like holding your own hand and knowing you won't let go. That's what self-trust feels like. Not dramatic, not flashy, not loud, just true, just steady, just you. Now that you know what self-trust feels like and you understand how and why you lost it, let me show you how to rebuild it. Not in a vague, fluffy way, not with unrealistic expectations, not with just believe in yourself cliches. I'm going to give you the real method, the one that works, the one that lasts, the one that brings you home to yourself. Self-trust isn't built through big dramatic moments. It's built in small, consistent agreements with yourself. Let's begin. 1. Start with micro-truths. Rebuilding self-trust doesn't begin with big decisions. It begins with the smallest truth you can acknowledge. It sounds like this. I am tired. I don't want to go. This doesn't feel right. I need rest. Something feels off. I want something different. I'm not okay with this. Every time you tell yourself a truth, even a tiny one, your inner voice strengthens. Because self-trust isn't about always being right. It's about always being honest. Start with one honest sentence a day. That alone changes everything. 2. Keep one small promise to yourself daily. Not 10, not 5, not a new lifestyle. Just one promise. Examples. I will drink 1 glass of water. I will step outside for 2 minutes. I will stretch for 30 seconds. I will sit quietly for 1 minute. I will turn off my phone for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is this. You keep the promise. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your nervous system learns, I can rely on me. And that is the heart of self-trust. 3. Listen to your first instinct, not the second voice. Your first instinct is your intuition. Your second voice is fear. The first instinct is clear, fast, quiet. The second voice is overthinking, spiraling, analyzing. When you don't trust yourself, you give fear the microphone. So here's a practice. Pause. Notice your first instinct. Acknowledge it, even if you don't act on it yet. You are reteaching your body to recognize the sound of your inner voice. Intuition grows when you pay attention to it. 4. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? People who struggle with self-trust are masters of scanning the room. They feel into what others want. They anticipate needs and emotions. They adjust, adapt, morph. But self-trust begins when you turn the energy inward. Take a breath and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Not what they need. Not what is expected. Not what keeps the peace. You. What do you need? Even if you don't act on the answer yet, the act of asking recenters your relationship with yourself. 5. Honor your no. Your no is the backbone of your self-trust. When you say yes to things you don't want, you teach yourself that your boundaries don't matter. When you say no, gently, truthfully, peacefully, you reinforce your inner authority. Practice tiny no's. No, thank you. Not today. I can't. I don't have the energy. That doesn't feel right for me. Every boundary you honor builds trust. Every boundary you betray breaks it. 6. Stop asking for permission to feel what you feel. You don't need someone else to validate your emotion before it becomes real. You don't need to justify why something hurt. You don't need to explain why something felt wrong. You don't need permission to need space, to be tired, to not be okay, or to choose yourself. When a feeling arises, say to yourself, "This is my truth right now." No debate, no negotiation, no guilt. Give yourself space before making decisions. Self-trust is not impulsive. Self-doubt is frantic. Self-trust is spacious. Before you answer someone, say, "I need a moment," or "I'll get back to you." This one sentence gives your intuition the space to breathe. The right decisions are almost always the ones that come from calm, not panic. 8. Celebrate every moment you chose yourself. This is important. When you catch yourself being true to you, pause for 1 second and acknowledge it. I listened to myself just now. I honored my boundary. I trusted my instinct. I kept my promise. These small acknowledgments light up the brain. They reinforce the behavior. They make it feel natural. Self-trust grows fastest when you celebrate it. 9. Forgive your past self for the times you didn't trust yourself. This is the quiet part nobody talks about. You did not fail. You did not make mistakes. You did not mess up your life. You did the best you could with the tools you had at the time. You survived, you endured, you adapted, you protected yourself in the only ways you knew. Forgive her, that younger version of you who didn't know how to listen to her own voice. She wasn't weak, she was wounded. And now, you're healing her by trusting yourself today. Rebuilding self-trust is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the person you were before life convinced you to doubt yourself. You're not learning something new. You're remembering something ancient, your own knowing, your own wisdom, your own voice. And piece by piece, you are coming home. The breakthrough moment. You already know. Take a breath with me. A slow one. A soft one. The kind that drops you back into your body. Because this next part isn't information. It isn't teaching. It isn't guidance. This is a remembering. A homecoming. A moment where something inside you finally whispers back. I want you to hear me clearly. You already know. You've always known. Every time you felt something was off, you were right. Every time you felt drawn to something, you were right. Every time your chest squeezed, your energy dipped, your stomach tightened, your heart nudged you, you were right. You weren't imagining things. You weren't overreacting. You weren't being dramatic. You weren't being paranoid. You were feeling truth, your truth. But you talked yourself out of it because you were afraid of what it meant. You doubted yourself because doubting yourself once kept you safe. You abandoned your knowing because you didn't want to be wrong in a world that punished mistakes. But here's the revelation. The moment everything shifts. You do not have to be right to trust yourself. You only have to be honest. Self-trust isn't about predicting outcomes. It's about respecting your own inner signal, even when no one else sees it. You think your intuition needs proof, but intuition is the proof. You think your knowing needs permission, but knowing doesn't wait for anyone's approval. And deep down, under the noise, under the fear, under the doubt, there is a voice in you that has never once lied to you. Not once. It may have been ignored, buried, muted, overridden, talked out of, shamed, dismissed, but it has never lied. And that voice, that quiet, ancient, steady voice, is waking up again. You felt it this morning. You felt it in your chest. You felt it in the thin air clarity you couldn't explain. You felt it in the dream that released something in you. You felt it in the soft calm that washed over your entire field. Self-trust arrived quietly because it never needed to shout. It just needed the noise to stop. And now that it has, you can hear yourself again. Not the scared version, not the wounded version, not the overthinking version, the true version, the one who never left, the one who knows. This is your breakthrough moment. The moment you realize you don't have to go searching for your inner wisdom. It's been waiting for you to return to it. And once you recognize that, once you feel that truth land in your chest, everything changes. Your decisions change. Your presence changes. Your emotional baseline changes. Your confidence changes. Your energy changes. Your life changes. Not because something new appeared, but because you finally came home to the voice that was yours all along. Take a moment. Place your hand on your chest if you can. And notice something. Your body is calmer. Your breath is deeper. Your awareness is softer. And your inner voice, the one you thought you lost, is a little louder than before. You didn't imagine that shift. You felt it. Because this entire time, you were never rebuilding self-trust. You were remembering it. And now we ask the final question. Who do you become when you trust yourself again? Let me show you. You become someone who no longer begs for signs because your intuition becomes your compass. Not desperation, not fear, not outside voices, just you, clear, quiet, steady. You become someone whose no is enough, not explained, not justified, not softened. A simple, honest no. And that becomes a complete sentence, a sacred boundary, a declaration of self-respect. You become someone who doesn't abandon herself, not in relationships, not in decisions, not in emotions, not in moments of fear. You become loyal to your own soul in a way you've never been before. You become someone who trusts her timing because you realize you've never been late for your own life. You've never fallen behind. You've never missed what was meant for you. And you stop rushing because the truth is there is nothing to rush toward. You're already on your path. You become someone who doesn't shrink anymore. The world still has opinions. People still have expectations. Life still has challenges. But you no longer fold yourself into smaller shapes to make others comfortable. You stand in the shape that was always yours. You become someone you can rely on, and that is what changes everything. Because the moment you trust yourself, you stop fearing the unknown. The moment you trust yourself, you stop replaying old mistakes. The moment you trust yourself, you stop letting the world override your truth. The moment you trust yourself, you reclaim your life, piece by piece, breath by breath, decision by decision. And maybe, as you sit here listening, you can feel that version of you rising again. Not loudly, not dramatically, but softly, the way real strength always arrives. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to someone ancient, someone honest, someone whole, someone who knows who she is and trusts herself enough to live like it. This is your beginning, your reset, your homecoming. And I'll say this to you with every bit of truth I have. You can trust yourself. You always could, and now you will. This has been Valkyrie. Leave a comment or a heart if this video connected with you. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for stopping by. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.